Hey, welcome back to the channel. So here we have SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. I never thought I was gonna make a video out of this because until recently this is a single player game. You fight against an AI, a PvE only. But they just recently released this Master League Season 0. This is a PvP. And people are getting crazy over this. Like they are talking about, oh my god, all the meta units, blah blah blah, which one is strong and blah blah, which one to use, blah blah. And I'm here to show you that you don't need to have good units to be able to get to Master League. You can already see that my score here is 129,000 points, and I don't use the meta units. These are the units that I use. So even with CP 138,000 here, I managed to get to Master League. While the enemy that I fight against all have 187, 200, 217,000, blah blah blah. So I still managed to get this far using only this formation, two SSR units, one of them even at only one limit break. So it all comes back to your formation, the choice of your Gundam, and how are you able to make best use out of the Gundams that the game gives you. Because as a free-to-play players, a pure free-to-play players, I depends on my luck. These are all the Gundams that the game gives me. I only ever pull like 70 times on the Zeta banner, 70 times on the previous one, and I didn't get lucky in the Strike Freedom banner. You can already see from my lineup there, none of the Sith Gundams are there. So I got lucky in here, and I got the O, which is a really really good supporter unit here, and I've only pulled 174 times in the standard banner. So these are all the units, and I just got Barbatos recently. It's still at level 1. If you watch my previous video, you can see that I did the pull right when I'm recording that video. So it just like 1 hour ago when I got this unit. So I didn't use him at all when I progressing through my PvP, and I still managed to reach the Master League with quite a high score, if I do say so myself. So here are my thoughts into choosing my units, so I can share to you, so you might be able to get something out of it, because my units, it's different than your units. So what works for me might not work for you. But I'm gonna tell you the strategy that I use with each one of my Gundams in here, so you got a better idea of what to look for when you are fighting in the PvP situation. So first of all, in PvP here in the Master League, you only able to use 5 Gundams, and they all gonna move by AI. So you cannot control them. So the order of their movement is determined by their mobility in here. And because my Gundams all doesn't have limit break, so against the enemy that have higher CP than me, they all have 3-star strike freedom. And how to fight them? You might ask. And the way to fight them is to think differently. You don't fight stone with stone. You don't fight strike freedom with strike freedom. You need to counter them. And one of the reasons why I use Psycho Gundam here is because Psycho Gundam have the eye field. He has the eye field ability that reduces damage taken from a beam range weapon. So it reduces damage taken by 40%. So even though he is at 1-star limit break, he is an SSR Gundam and is only at level 89. He is able to absorb 1 attack coming out of a Freedom UR unit. So if it is too strong, then obviously he gonna die, but at least he did his job. He absorbed 1 attack coming out of Strike Freedom, which can go into your DPS, and it's gonna be fatal if you don't have your DPS. So that's the main purpose of a tank in PvP, to take the damage that otherwise gonna go to your DPS, and to best make use of your disadvantage in this PvP because you know that you have lower stats than them, you don't have your limit break, so you have lower mobility. So the enemy all gonna move first, and then none of your Gundam will move before all of the enemies move first. So your best strategy when that happens is to counter attack your enemy. And I accidentally happened to, make best use of my level 99 Gundam because I didn't plan for this. I level up my Gundam to only a 99, 89. The 100 here is because I use them a lot in PvE. It's because when I use them in story mode, I still want them to get experience out of them. So I can use the experience material to the other Gundam because as a free-to-play players, I have limited amount of materials. So I need to make best use of the stages, free experience that you get when you clear those stages. So I stop at level 99 so that I can have extra material to give to my other Gundams. But apparently, this is such a good strategy in PvP because when I have my Gundam at level 99, that means that if I compare my aerial Gundam against the enemy aerial Gundam, I will have lower mobility than the enemy's aerial. So the enemy aerial gonna move first before me. And because it moves first, it will come to me and attack me. So if I can absorb his attack, then I will kill that aerial with my counter attack. That's a strategy that you can use as a weaker player. Counter attack them. So you can see that if, for example, the enemy attack my Sazabi, my Gundam GQ absorb that attack, my DO, my aerial, and my Sazabi gonna counter attack to that one single Gundam. And because that Gundam moves first, like it's far away from their friends, from his friends, then the enemy's tank will not be able to protect him. So he will either die by all these three Gundams counterattack him all at once, or at least he will be low enough for my Sazabi, who is also not yet limit break. So my Sazabi can only deal up to 50,000 damage, which is not enough to kill any Gundam. Mostly all of the Gundams in this game have 100,000 HP, and for my Sazabi, I cannot kill them without attacking them a couple of times. So being able to, counterattack them first when they first move, and then by the time it is my turn to attack them, I will be able to one-shot all of them using my Sazabi because they are all sitting at low health. So that's the strategy that you can use as a weaker player. And do avoid Justice Gundam and Barbatos because again, you're already struggling into killing the enemy's Freedom Gundam, like their DPS. You are already struggling into killing their weakest unit. Then there is no way in hell you're gonna be able to kill their tank. So do avoid hitting a tank player, a player who brings tank into their lineup. But sometimes you do want to try first. If the tank moves last, because most of the time the tank have very low mobility. If they move last and you manage to kill all of their DPS who comes to you first, and only left their weaker units like either their support or their tank there, and you still have your main DPS, like definitely your support and DPS unit still alive, then you have a chance into winning that battle. But if the enemy tank have high mobility and they manage to move to the front line, then that's it. You have no chance into killing them at all. And again, the support unit here, you need to choose wisely into which support unit that you want to use. And look at this. Like I have Lesigna at 2-star, but I don't use him in my PvP because it doesn't have the ability to increase his survivability. So if this moves first, and most of the time this one moves first because it has high mobility, then it's gonna go into the enemy lineup and hit them once and they die, and he die. because he doesn't have any protection. So that's why I choose Gundam Aerial, and also Gundam Aerial have a really high attack because of this execution. It reduces the enemy's defense down, which is the same as Lesigna, but this one have an ability that reduces the enemy's beam weapons damage to you. So this has higher survivability than the Lesigna. So most of the time I use Gundam Aerial because it also adds 2-star limit break. And then I use the O to increase the enemy's beam weapon damage taken. And then I use the new Gundam to increase the enemy's special weapon damage taken. And again, like because my Sazabi deal very low damage because it's not limit break yet, so the way for me to kill any unit, especially the enemy's tank, is to give them as much debuff, as many debuff as possible that I can. Beam rates damage, beam damage taken from DO, special weapon damage taken from new, and then defense down from Gundam Aerial. Just the same strategy as what you use in the PvE situation. And then my Sazabi gonna finish up the rest. So that's the way I use my Gundam. Now, going into the Gundam EX here, like this one is not really good unit to use, like because it also moves slow, and because the pilot doesn't have 2 support defense, so it is just so-so. Like compared to Gundam GQ and Psycho Gundam, Gundam GQ and Psycho Gundam is still much better than the Gundam EX. This one, in theory, is supposed to have high mobility, like increased evasion and mobility in here, but the Gundam itself have very low mobility. So, so yeah, it's supposed to be able to evade a lot of attack, but not in this game. So evasion is still a very hard thing to do, so you better off choose some other Gundam for your tank. Now the Striker Custom, I sometimes use this one because it deals physical damage, and if the enemy is in the correct position, like they come to me, and my Strike Freedom can move, then my Strike Freedom can kill them because this deal higher damage than my Sazabi. But the thing is that if I manage to counterattack the enemy who comes to me and they die, Striker Custom cannot go into the enemy's backline to hit them because it has a very slow movement, and the attack range from this also hit only 3 squares away. So you cannot hit them. Gundam Exia also have the same problem. You don't really want to have a melee Gundam in your lineup. Most of the time you cannot reach the enemy, they're gonna waste time just moving. But at the same time, you met an enemy that use Gundam Exia and they are able to attack me. So yeah, if you can make use of your Gundam Exia, then do please use him. But for me, because I am playing with counterattacks, most of the time the one that comes to me will die by my counterattack. So my Sazabi needs to go into the enemy's backline. So I need a unit that can hit from far away. Now the Gundam Phoenix here is really good if you pair him up with the Striker Custom because it increases the enemy's physical damage taken. But again, like it doesn't have any defensive on himself. It does have heal, but before healing yourself every turn, you already die by a single enemy hit. So there's no point in healing yourself per turn if you don't have the mitigation to survive. So those are all the Gundams that I use and the strategy for each one. The Gundam GQ is before I have my Barbatos, because this is my only Gundam that if paired with the Char Aznable pilot able to give 2 support defense. So this is my best defender. Because in a PvP situation, you do want to absorb as many attacks from the enemy as possible coming to your DPS, to your weaker units, especially if you think about it, like look at this. My Sazabi only have 70,000 HP, so one single attack from Strike Freedom is able to kill my Sazabi. So I need somebody to take the damage for me. And the more they can support defense, the better the chance for me to survive. I need all of my supporter and my attacker to survive until the time they can move. So to support defense is a must-have in PvP. And as a free-to-play players, if you don't have Barbatos or Justice Gundam or what is that, the other one that have to support defense, Gundam GQ is your best friend. And then Psycho Gundam, in my opinion, is the best SSR tank because of the eye field in here. Again, like the beam range weapon damage taken reduction, because more than half of your enemy deals beam damage. This one can be as strong as a UR tank if against an enemy who deal beam range weapon damage. So this one you can use, especially with all the strike freedom and the freedom Gundam out there. They use beam range weapon damage, so this one can take at least like two hits compared to the other SSR tanks that you have. So those two are the ones that you want to use. The rest, you can try using them. Like currently Hyperion Gundam is really good choice because of all the strike freedom out there. So he has a bonus stats when fighting against mobile suit Gundam Seed. So, and also he has this one. When enemy attacks with ranged weapon, reduce damage taken by 20%. This is all ranged weapons, whether it's a physical, whether it's a beam, anything that hits from far away is considered a ranged weapons. So this is a really good, mitigation ability, and also increase maximum HP by 10%. So this is a really good choice for a tank. But for me, I don't see the need of using him yet, so I'm still saving up on my material. Again, as a free-to-play player, I have limited materials, so I need to choose wisely on which unit do I choose to upgrade. But if you do have a pilot for this, then do use him to counter the current strike freedom meta. And then again, the rest of these units, like I'm gonna tell you the units that catch my eye. One of it is Gundam Gemina 02. This one is a good tank to use because it has a power of 5,000 attack in here. And if you've been following up on the PvP news, you know that the players are all being crazy right now because they find out that Freedom Gundam SR, if upgraded to the max, it can deal insane amount of damage comparable to the UR Freedom. And the main reason is because it has an attack with the power of 5,000 in here. So that's why attack with power 5,000 is something that you should aim for if you do want to upgrade a unit that is SSR or below. So if you upgrade the Gundam Geminas in here, it's definitely gonna deal the same damage as the Freedom Gundam at SR. But this one is a tank, so it has a low attack. So the one that gonna deal high damage is its counterpart, this one, Gundam Gemina 01. This is an attacker, and it has an attack with 5,000 power. So this is comparable to the Freedom Gundam, the SR Freedom Gundam. Again, it all depends on your buff and pilot too, because currently in the PvP stage, we have a buff for the protagonist and also rival. And also because of the previous banner, you have the supporter for the Gundam Seed, the one that increased the one-shot killer Gundam stats. So the Freedom Gundam got a lot of benefit more compared to Gundam Geminas. But if in the next season Gundam Geminas have a chance to shine, then you do look out for that time, this Gundam. So another Gundam that have high stats is Blue Destiny here. Blue Destiny have an ability that increase all attack in here, you see. So with an ability that deals 5,000 power damage in here, even though this is a melee range, this is the only downside of using the Blue Destiny. This one can also deal a lot of damage, but because it has a lot of weapons, so the AI gonna rotate among them, so it has a really low chance on using the melee attack in here. So those are all the Gundam that catch my attention. Saikoro Gundam and also Haro here is also a really good choice for a tank because of the eye field, the same as the Psycho Gundam. But the problem is that it is a huge unit. So because it is a huge unit, then sometimes it's blocking the way of your other Gundam. So I don't have material yet to upgrade them. And also, I like the way that the Psycho Gundam only take up one slot. So Psycho Gundam is still my go-to option into being my SSR tank. So yeah, that's how you are able to win in PvP without using any strike freedom and to fight against a strike freedom enemy. So if you do want to watch the replay on how I managed to, counterattack all of those strike freedom out there, then you can go to my next video and watch the replay of all of my battle in here. Because apparently the match history doesn't sync up between my computer and my phone, so I need to record in my phone, and I'm gonna show you in the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.